Opening statement.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good morning and welcome to today's hearing. The chairman's already defined what a glider kit is, and it does cost 25% in a brand new rig. So really the purpose of today's hearing is twofold. We will examine the economic effects of the Obama administration's greenhouse gas emissions regulation, which, among other things, proposed a cap production of glider trucks. We will also address the integrity of a study on glider truck emissions conducted by the EPA's National Vehicle and Fuel Emissions Laboratory, NVFEL, in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Documents provided through FOIA and committee requests raise serious questions about the impartiality of the 2017 EPA study. Historically, the Science Committee has worked hard to ensure that when regulations are necessary, they are based on sound science. Under Chairman Smith, the committee has also worked to level the playing field and ensure that the EPA treats all parties fairly. In the case of glider trucks, there are red flags surrounding the NVFEL study. The committee obtained emails showing that one particular manufacturer had an inside track to EPA and, in fact, provided the glider trucks they did not manufacture, to EPA for testing. And I'll get into the details of the EPA studies with my questions further in the hearing. But from the outset, the conflict of interest raises questions about the study's credibility. Relying on a flawed study in this case is particularly alarming since the proposed regulation will have dire consequences for the glider truck industry. Thousands of independent truckers, all smart businesses across America, rely on glider trucks as an affordable option for their trucking operation. In my district alone, there are 883 independent truckers, many of whom drive gliders. For me, this is a jobs issue. We should not allow the heavy hand of the federal government to come down and crush an entire industry, especially absent a rock-solid scientific reason for doing so, which appears to be lacking in this case. In addition to the individual truckers and manufacturers of the glider kits would be put out of business, killing even more jobs. At the request of my colleagues, the EPA Inspector General has agreed to review the propriety of the study, and we look forward to the results of his review. We have joining us a witness today, experts that are experts on regulatory law. I look forward to hearing from that testimony. And I want to briefly address the regulatory steps EPA has taken in this instance and assure everyone that contrary to the picture painted by the media in the headlines such as, quote, Scott Pruitt gave dirty glider trucks a gift in his last days at EPA, unquote, or, quote, super polluting trucks received loophole on Pruitt's last day, unquote, EPA does not appear to have done anything out of the ordinary in this case. Accordingly, or according to the administration law experts, agencies routinely take the similar steps EPA took with regard to glider trucks. Agencies have broad discretion about which regulations to enforce. What actually was out of the ordinary was that the Obama administration's failure to conduct a study on glider truck emissions prior to proposing the Phase 2 greenhouse gas rule. More work needs to be done to understand the impact of gliders on the environment. Many experts argue that using remanufactured parts over the lifetime of the trucks actually has a positive environmental impact. I look forward to hearing our witnesses' opinions on the environmental issue. More work is needed in this area. We cannot simply rely on EPA studies in this instance, and I yield my remaining time to Mr. Posey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In